Hi, everybody. This is Betsy Wurzel, host of Chatting with Betsy at Passionate World Talk Radio. Jeanne White is the producer and writes the blog. Get ready, folks. This is going to be an interesting show. I have Sue Fernandez on, and she's going to talk about mixed dementia. So get your paper and get your pen, pull up a chair. Welcome, Sue.
Hi, Betsy. Thank you very much. We're going to continue on our various dementias, and today I wanted to talk about mixed dementia. What is mixed dementia? Mixed dementia is a condition in which abnormalities characteristic of more than one type of dementia occur simultaneously in the brain. Physicians may also call this condition dementia multifactorial. The most common form of mixed dementia is Alzheimer's, vascular, and Lewy body. Mixed dementia is a progressive dementia. Mixed dementia symptoms may vary depending on the types of brain changes involved and the brain regions affected. In many cases, symptoms may be similar to or even indistinguishable from those of Alzheimer's or another type of dementia. In other cases, a person's symptoms may suggest that more than one type of dementia is present. Although mixed dementia is infrequently diagnosed, many researchers believe it deserves more attention because a combination of two or more types of dementia-related brain changes may have a greater impact on the brain than one type alone. Many researchers are convinced that a more in-depth understanding of mixed dementia, coupled with recognition that vascular changes are the most common coexisting brain change, may create an opportunity to reduce the number of people who develop dementia. Controlling overall risk factors for diseases of the heart and blood vessels may also protect the brain from vascular changes. Because most people with mixed dementia are diagnosed with a single type of dementia, physicians often base their prescribing decisions on the type of dementia that's been diagnosed. No drugs are specifically approved by the U.S. Food and Drug Administration to treat mixed dementia. Everyone that has a form of dementia is unique. There are no dead-set symptoms of dementia. As the saying goes, once you've met someone with dementia, you've only met one. I also wanted to share with your listeners, Betsy, that there are no drugs or medications that slows the progression. Medications that are prescribed are for behaviors only and should only be used for the first couple of years. If your listeners would like further information, educational materials, resources, they can also contact the Alzheimer's Association at 1-800-272-3900. They are open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. The Alzheimer's Association's website is www.alz.org. Betsy, we talked the other day, and you wanted to talk about power of attorney for health care and finances. What say you on this subject?
Yes. Oh, before I go into that, thank you, Sue, for sharing your information. And that must be like a double whammy of mixed dementia because how does the doctor know which one to treat? And I'm glad you said that the medications do not slow it down. Right. Years ago, I'm going to talk about 10 years ago when Matt was first diagnosed, we were told that the medication would slow it down. I was under that false belief because that was the thinking at the time. And that has since changed. And I was said that one time in a group, and they said, no, there's no drugs that slow it down. So I'm not the only one who thought that. So, you know, if you were told by your doctor that it slows it down, that's just not true, I'm sorry to say, but you could discuss that with your doctor, yes. Managing the behaviors.
Betsy, and I apologize. I want to interject here. And the other thing is that people don't know is when the doctors do prescribe those medications, they're only good for a couple of years at the most. Some people I know, Betsy, that have been on them for years. They don't slow the progression of dementia.
Right. Yes, Matt was on his medication until he went on hospice, and they took him off. But it wasn't working by that time anyway.
Right.
Because and he was on the same dose for years. You couldn't tolerate a higher dose. But power of attorney for medical and financial is definite. Folks, listeners, please listen to this. It's so important. Nobody wants to talk about power of attorney. Nobody wants to talk about death and dying. Okay, Hair and Chatting with Betsy, all of it is up on the table because I will talk about the taboo and what's uncomfortable. Please, even before you even get a diagnosis, if you're over the age of 18 and over, go get someone to be your power of attorney because you never know what's going to happen. This coronavirus happened and people were probably, stuck. What do we do?
Exactly.
Maybe their loved one had to be on life support. You need to get your wishes known, what you want as far as do you want life support. What kind of life support? Do you want a tube feeding? Do you not want one? Do you want to be on a respirator? Do you want, artificial support? How long do you want that? Do you just want comfort care? These are things that need to be addressed, folks. Nobody wants to address it. Even what kind of funeral do you want? How do you want your funeral? How do you want your end of life? Where do you want to be placed if you need placement? These are issues that have to be addressed.
And if you don't have these power of attorneys in place, guess what? The hospitals, the doctors, all these medical staff, they're going to ask you for it. So be prepared. These particular documents, power of attorney for health and finances, should be your very first documents to obtain. Whether you're a caregiver or not, these documents assist you in the following ways: making vital decisions regarding health and finances, managing money, and decisions relating to your loved ones. For example, real estate transactions. If you don't have a power of attorney for finances, no one's going to help you, period. You have to get that in place. You need to allow access to your personal documents, like your health records. If you don't have the power of attorney for medical decisions, guess what? You don't get access to those. So before you get to those barriers, prepare yourselves, listeners. Get that taken care of today because you never know when you're going to need that tomorrow.
Absolutely. I can tell you from my own experience, Sue, and listeners, that as soon as Matt was diagnosed, we went to get power of attorney, medical and financial, and Matt made out a living will. I made out a living will. I did the POA for myself. You're not taking anything away from that individual. I explained to Matt, you will still have a say in your medical matters. This is for when you no longer can speak for yourself.
Exactly.
Then I would have to step in. Even applying for Medicare for Matt, his prescription program, Sue, when his company discontinued his, I had to have that power of attorney to even change his prescription program.
Yeah.
To even apply. They want the proof. So it's, very important. You're a life insurance company. If your husband or wife has life insurance, or your parents, they will not tell you anything unless you have the power of attorney. A doctor, a hospital will not speak to you unless you have that. That's so important. Matter of fact, Sue, and listeners, Josh, my son, is going to be 36 next month. I've been thinking about power of attorney for him, but I couldn't go because they're closed to the pandemic. Hopefully they'll be open next month. I'm taking Josh. Josh has special needs. I need to get power of attorney for him and set up a social trust. I want Josh to make out a living will. Yes, he's healthy, but you don't know what's going to happen. And this pandemic made me think even more how important it is for me to get this done as soon as possible.
Betsy, I don't know if you had seen this on the report because of this global pandemic. A lot of the medical professions themselves, doctors and nurses, immediately they were creating power of attorneys. Something can happen to them too. These were all the medical professionals. They were running around making, a power of attorney for themselves. The other document, Betsy, I wanted to bring up, do they have a DNR in place? Do not resuscitate. You have to, more and more physicians are asking you to review this document and sign one. What are your decisions in the event they can't resuscitate you? Do you want to be put on a machine for the rest of your life, or do you want to, be put in hospice and have them care for you with comfort around? If you don't have these documents in place, guess what? The state makes your decision, and even though you have relayed your wishes to your family members, it doesn't make a difference. The state doesn't care. You have to have your DNR in place. Another thing I wanted to bring up, Betsy, and I brought it up in another podcast, and I call it a care package. I recommend for the caregivers to create a care package for their loved ones. And this is what I'd like you to do, is include copies of your power of attorney, the DNR, copies of your health insurance card, their department DMV card, Social Security card, list of medications and allergies. Put that in a binder, and I would highly recommend you give someone else a copy, someone trustworthy. Put that binder, the extra binder, in the trunk of your car. In the event there's an emergency, you don't have to worry about anything of that sort. So if there's an emergency, just go to the trunk of your car and you have it all there.
That's a good idea, Sue. Very good idea. Mm-hmm. I'm going to mention another paper. I guess I'm not sure if this is statewide. I was given this by Matt's doctor. It's for here in New Jersey. It's the New Jersey Practitioner Orders for Life-Sustaining Treatment, called POLST.
Oh, the POLST,
and, POLST, yes. Is that statewide, Sue? Do you know?
Yes,
Oh, okay. So your doctor will give it to you, and you just check off what you would like, and the doctor signs it. And on there, it does have, if you want, DNR, and it goes through a list of, check what you want or do not want done. Have this paper on your refrigerator. So in case if you do have to call the police or 911, which I really don't suggest if you don't want a DNR done, and you hand them this paper. And if you are on hospice, like Matt was on hospice, they had a copy of this paper which went with him to the hospital. Very important for you to ask. This is called a POLST. Ask your doctor for it so you can have it at home. And it's very important. So you had mentioned that doctors were making their own power of attorney and living well. I did see a while back that because of this pandemic, they suggested that people 18 and over start doing this.
Oh, I
getting
totally
someone,
agree, Betsy.
Yes, and I definitely agree, because you know what, folks? They say a second wave might come. I mean, I hope not.
Right.
But if the second wave should come, are you prepared?
Right.
Let's talk about that. So, like, are you prepared? Does someone know your wishes? Do you have power of attorney?
Because that's going to be the first barrier you come across anywhere.
Yes.
Anywhere. I don't care where you go. They cannot provide you, because there's the HIPAA law, Health Insurance Portability Accountability Act, and that protects them from divulging any information. They're going to ask you, do you have power of attorney? So if you don't, they're going to turn around and refuse you, and guess what you have to do? You've got to run around, and if your loved one is in a hospital and he's still coherent, that's okay. But what happens if they're not coherent, Betsy? you can't do it, then you've got to go pay more money to an attorney to have that done. And when I say more money, it's not going to be $50 or $100. It's going to be thousands of dollars because they are not competent to sign any documents. So it's imperative that you get your power of attorney done.
That's right, and that's when guardianship would come in. Do you think, Sue, that when someone is not coherent enough and they're declared incompetent to sign a paper, then you have to go for guardianship?
I'm not sure on that, Betsy, to be honest with you. I want to say yes, but don't, repeat this. And guardianship costs at least $5,000-$10,000. That's to start off with.
Right, and I think and you have to go to court,
right.
I believe. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, right. Yeah, that's not including additional court fees. If there's any problems, it's even more. So you don't want to get caught. Believe you me, you really don't. Betsy, I wanted to also talk briefly and provide some resources for loved ones that are in facilities. We've, again, talked about this. They're having a lot of issues with communication, seeing their loved ones. Loved ones have fallen in facilities. The facilities aren't contacting them regarding these issues. So, I just want to reiterate what I have to say. If they have issues with facilities, contact their ombudsman, the local ombudsman. If they still don't have any communication or the ombudsman aren't going out there, then the next chain is to contact your public health department. They are going out to the facilities and reviewing loved ones with issues. Now, I've been in communication with about 4 different agencies. These are nonprofits, and if it gets even worse, I highly recommend you to contact a couple of the following. And let me explain. I've mentioned this one organization before, but they're very knowledgeable. CANNER, that's California Advocacy for Nursing Home Reform. I know they're a very good advocacy organization, and they're trying to reform nursing home conditions and things of that sort. So they're on top of it. They're in California. Their number is 1-800-474-1116. In addition, this is for California. They also offer a lawyer referral service. This is for California. There's also another nonprofit called Justice in Aging. They have an organization in Washington, D.C., Los Angeles, and Oakland. They have a lot of information for placing your loved ones in facilities that are of low income, that are in poverty, so they can help you. If I wanted to mention also, Betsy, all of these numbers, they can call and they can just ask general questions. If they're not the organization, ask them, can you refer me to another organization regarding my issue? They'd be more than happy to help you. So, and that's what they do. This is what they do, Betsy. Again, this last organization, they're called Justice in Aging. The Washington, D.C. office telephone number is area code 202-289-6976, and they also help advocate for, they're called dual eligibles, and those are Medi-Medis. Those are beneficiaries of Medi-Cal, or also known Medicaid and Medicare. They're called dual eligibles. The other organization I'd want to mention is Long-Term Care Community Coalition. They're in New York. Their number is area code 212-385-0355. And another nonprofit organization is called National Consumer Voice for Quality Long-Term Care. They're in Washington, D.C., and their number is 202-332-2275. Like I said, call them up. Ask them any questions, or maybe they can advocate for you to the health department. I'm hoping that would help you learn a little bit more about the issues and resolve any issues you have in the nursing homes. Because, again, the state inspectors and a lot of the ombudsmen are not going into the facilities. One last resource, Betsy, is Levanta. Levanta provides a Medicare beneficiary helpline. Their California helpline number is 877-588-1123. They receive appeal requests and service complaints and answer questions about the QIO process for Medicare patients, providers, and other stakeholders such as caregivers, representatives, managed care plans, and advocacy groups. Some examples of quality of care concerns include wrong treatment or care provided, medication mistakes, being discharged before you are ready to leave, picked up an infection while in the facility, running into barriers to receive care, and other health care errors. The website for Levanta is www.livantaqio.com. I went onto their website again today, Betsy, and if you go to the website, all you have to do is there's a map there on their website, and you select whatever state you're in, and they will refer you to the resource. It's either Levanta or another name of an organization that can help you with your issues. So please, I ask that you reach out to Levanta if you're having any issues regarding your facilities. Regarding your care for your loved one. So that's it, Betsy.
Thank you very much, Sue. I appreciate your information. And I want to tell the listeners out there, I know you heard me before, Levanta, I'm so glad Sue Fernandez told me, if you are receiving hospice or your loved one's receiving hospice and you feel that they were, the hospice team, negligent in the care or you're not happy with the services, please call them up. Call them while your loved one is still receiving the service if you can. I unfortunately waited until after my husband had passed, but it wasn't, too late to place a complaint. So just wanted to, pass that information on. So it's always a pleasure to have you on.
Thank you. Betsy, let me just interrupt one last thing, because you had asked me on another podcast. I did read Levanta, and their limit was 60 days in order for you to file a complaint.
Okay.
That's what they said. But it doesn't mean, even if it's later, that they won't take it. That's just the standard protocol, but it doesn't mean, if it's an egregious situation, that's different.
Oh, okay. Well, I made it in time.
Yes. Right.
Yeah, because I called in February. Yeah, so I had the time. But people can't, like a year later decide, because then they would consider that too late.
Right. Then I think you have to go to an attorney.
Excuse me. Yeah. Yes, well, that's good to know. And, folks, you know what? It's always best to speak up and ask. If you don't know whether it's worth you calling, call. State your complaint, and they can tell you, what steps to take. I thought Levanta was very helpful. I've dealt with them, and I thought they were very nice. They listened to me, and I thought they were very pleasant to deal with. And I want to thank you, Sue. I also want to mention that, June is now a little more than half over, but it is Brain and Alzheimer's Awareness Month. So people, if you have a loved one or did have a loved one, post on your page. And I just want to give a shout out to the Alzheimer's Association, because I went to the doctor yesterday and I saw an Alzheimer's Association magazine. First one I ever saw, Sue. And I said to the doctor, I'm so glad you have this in your office. I never saw that before. And I'm hearing more public service announcements about the longest day, which is June 21st, where people do the fundraising and raising awareness on Alzheimer's. And I'm glad to be
Betsy,
hearing that.
Can I mention any
Sure.
donations, and I know this for a fact, any donations that people contribute, I don't know what the percentage is, but I do know it's pretty high, and it goes to the caregivers for resources and referrals. I just wanted to bring that up. Again, any donations that you contribute to the Alzheimer's Association, a high percentage of that goes to referrals and resources.
Oh, that's good to know, Sue. Thank you. And I just happened to see last Sunday on Facebook Live, well, I won't say the station, I forgot what channel, but one of the newscasters was live, and they were covering a guy who was bike riding to raise awareness for Alzheimer's. Oh. And I was really glad to see that a major channel in this New York area was doing a little story on that. So that's good. Kudos to the major stations that are starting to do this. Right. Back when I tried, they wouldn't give me the time of day. And thank you to Lillian Caldwell and Passion World Talk Radio that gives people an opportunity to talk. So, listeners, if you're listening and you want to come on you want to talk with me and Chatting with Betsy, just PM me. And you can come on and share your experience. We need to hear. Yes, your voice can make a difference. It takes one person to light a fire and to bring a light. It takes people to speak up and say what their experience is to help others. So I just wanted to say that. If you missed any of this audio cast, I am on Spreaker and Spotify and iHeart and CastBox, and it's free to subscribe, and that way you will get the shows. You'll be notified when Chatting with Betsy is on. And I know you don't want to miss any shows that Sue Fernandez is on, I can tell you that. So thank you, Sue. You're popular. You're very popular.
Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. And folks, in a day where you could be anything, be kind, be safe, wear your mask, and we need kindness. I mean, that's all there is to it. Yes, I'm a child from the 60s. I grew up in the 60s and 70s. Show the love, show the kindness, and be well and be safe. Until I talk to you again, this is Betsy Wurzel, host of Chatting with Betsy and Passionate World Talk Radio. Be safe, everybody. Bye-bye.